What is up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Grant from Home for Review, and today we're doing something a little bit different. I actually expected Star Wars The Last Jedi to be my last movie review of the year and just kind of move on to the next year and see what else is coming out. But a new movie has come out. It's a Netflix original film by the name of Bright. And the only reason this caught my attention is because of the criticisms and the reviews that it was getting from people online saying that this was the absolute worst movie of the year. This was awful, terrible, like it was everything. It was the worst movie of the year. And I thought to myself, like, I've seen some horrible, horrible movies this year. And and I just need to know, like, what made Bright so awful. If people are saying that this is the worst movie of the year, it's got to be downright terrible. So I did what any person would do. I checked out Bright. Yeah, so I went to Netflix, because it's free, and I watched it. And the movie is about an hour and 57 minutes long, and it pretty much takes place in this alternate, like, present day where these humans, orcs, elves, they all kind of live in today's society. It's kind of like a fantasy world, but like in modern day, like America. And that's the best way to describe it. It is a modern day USA, but with fantasy elements in it. And it has to do with these two cops that go on this adventure. That's pretty much all I'm willing to discuss. There's a bunch of magic. There's wands that everybody wants the wand because it's like a nuclear bomb, except it grants you wishes. It's like there's all this different crap that goes into it, and like, I will firsthand say right now that when I watched this movie, I did not expect anything. I expected it to be terrible, but I will say right now that the criticisms I've seen for the movie, I think some critics are being a little bit too harsh. Is this movie bad? Oh, hell yeah, it's a bad movie. It's not good, but it's not awful. There are some things in it that are, well, decent, I guess you could say. The characters in the movie, which were played by Will Smith as Scott Ward, and Joel Edgerton. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. As Nick Jakeby or Jaboki. I fucking Jobby, or he's as the Orc, Nick the Orc. These two cops are the main characters throughout the movie, and they go on this, like, adventure to try to save the world. It's all about prophecy and all that bullshit, and it's fantasy. It's like, okay, it's like, I don't know, the movie. And the first time I watched it, it made no sense to me. I watched it once, first off. The first 30 minutes of the film is just like, it's like, okay, so they're going around, they're police, they're arguing, like, people don't like orcs, it's racism, and it's like, they're telling him, oh, you shouldn't be with this orc, and then Will Smith's like, oh, yeah, I liked the orc, you shouldn't be so racist for something that happened 3,000 years ago. But then in the next scene, it's like he's like he's a dickhead to the orc, and the orc's like, I'm a good guy though. Nah. And it's like, what the fuck's going on? It's like, where's the story? Where's the plot? Where's this going? And then finally, like, the plot picks up like 30 minutes into the movie, and then we meet a new character by the name of Tika, who's an elf, who's played by what's her name? Lucy Fry. She was in a few movies. Not ones that I'm a particular fan of, but she was in a few movies. Like, she is this sort of elf, and they find her, and she's telling them all this crazy shit. There's the Lord of Dark or something like that. A bunch of evil elves, a bunch of brights is what they call the people who are able to use magic in this alternate universe, and they're trying to bring back the Dark Lord to kill 7 billion creatures. I don't know what the fuck is going. It's a mess. The movie is a mess. The story is just like, it's a simple story. It's very, like, small and short, and it's not bad necessarily. The story isn't bad. What I think the movie has a problem with is world building. The world building is bad because it's so what's the word, like, unrealistic in a way. It's like all of the historical human events, like the Alamo, LA, how it exists today, just like like everything that humans did, like all of that is still a thing. Like that still happened, except it happened with the orcs. It happened with elves, with dragons, with fucking fairies. You could kind of see like it just like it's weird. Like it's just kind of a weird concept, and the world's just like not believable as like a real world. The best example I can think of is Final Fantasy 15, which I've been playing for about a year. That game does a great job of world building of like this fantasy world, but with fantasy elements and everything. But it has like the modern stuff in it as well. It has like the cars, it has like the clothing and stuff like that. But it's fantasy like. Yeah, it's just fantasy like, and then it has its little sci-fi elements. It does a great job of world building in Final Fantasy. But here it's just like, oh, it's everyday LA, except hey, look, there's orcs, or hey, look, the building is different. There's a different types of buildings, or oh, holy, look, there's a dragon in the sky. I remember watching this movie and I just saw something in the sky. I was like, wait a minute. I told my friend who had the controller, I was like, rewind this shit. I saw a dragon, and then I rewind it. It's just like a dragon flying in the back. It's like, what the hell? It's like, it's weird. And that's a big problem with the movie, because like there are honestly some decent parts in this movie. There are some good things, but immediately like I'm just completely taken out of it when they go to like this strip club, and it's just like all these orcs are around and elves, and it's just like, what the fuck is going on? It's just weird to me. Like I constantly kept getting taken out of the movie because like the world itself is just really badly designed in a way. It's poorly designed. It could have been something better, like say Final Fantasy, but it's just not. On top of that, like the characters, like besides Nick the Orc, who's actually the only fucking likable character in the film, everybody else is just kind of a dick. Everybody's a jerk. Even Will Smith's character, Ward, he's just like a fucking asshole. It's like you hate the motherfucker because he's just such a dick to everybody. So like there's really nobody to root for except for Nick the Orc, and that's it. Like, I mean, he's okay, I guess, but the only reason he's likable is because he's the only good person in this universe. Like everybody's like a horrible human being or a horrible orc or whatever. It's just like the movie was a mess. It's just a mess. It's hard for me to talk about it without spoiling anything, even though I spoiled quite a bit already. But it's just kind of like, it's like, oh, okay, like this is the universe. These are the characters. Let's go on an adventure. And I guess it like I can see if some people like this movie. I do know that. I had a cousin who called me up and said like, hey, oh yeah, Bright, I like that movie. It was a pretty good movie. I was like, oh, really? And, I'm sure that there's other people who probably like Bright, like saying like, yeah, it's a pretty good movie. But like, that's all I can imagine it being. It's like, it's a pretty good movie. Like an old person like stumbling upon on Netflix and like, yeah, that was a pretty good movie. Like, I can't see it getting anything else. Just like, oh yeah, it was amazing. It's like, no, it's a fucking mess. The characters, most of them are unlikable and you don't really care for them. I mean, like, there's some emotional moments, but it's like, I don't really know, or I don't even really care about these people, so it's like, whatever. But, there's some good action, there's some good things, some good little character moments, there's some decent plot. There's a decent plot in this movie. Like, the plot itself isn't the problem, it's the world building and the characters that really make it suffer. Other than that, the performances are pretty good. The makeup and design is pretty good. Like, for a $90 million budget, it's pretty well designed, except for the elves. I don't know, the elves looked like crap to me, but the orcs looked fantastic. And there were some sets that I was like, oh, that's kind of creative. Like, I like it's hard for me to hate the movie because it's like they clearly tried to make something amazing. They clearly tried to make something really good. It's just, it doesn't work. It's one of those things that it's like, you could do the very best you can, but it just won't work. It's just like this type of concept, this type of writing. This type of world in general, the LA, even Will Smith as one of the main characters. It's just like you took too many wrong steps already that I can't really see this movie working. Thankfully I looked up the Rotten Tomatoes scores. It's at a 30%, which is good to represent what the movie is. Like, it's not a good movie. It's a bad movie. I did not enjoy it personally. Like, there were things I liked about it, but then I constantly kept getting taken out. And that's really all I need to know. Like, I'm not going to watch this again. It's just going to be like, I mean, I guess maybe it might be better than Death Note, which I absolutely hated. This is just like, it's like, yeah, I guess it's decent. It's decent at times, terrible at other times. I don't know. I feel like there are some critics that are just blindly hating on this movie. This is definitely not the worst movie I've seen all year. The worst movie I've seen all year would probably have to be Bye Bye Man. I fucking hate that movie. Or even A Cure for Wellness, which I hated way more than this movie. I also hated Valerian more than this movie. There's like, I can name a bunch of movies that I watched. Or The Snowman, for fuck's sake. Like, I can name a shit ton of movies that were way worse than this. But I don't know why this is getting all the hate. Maybe it's because of the director. Maybe it's because of the actors. Maybe it's because of the world. Maybe it's all of them combined. Maybe that's why people are hating on it. My final verdict for Bright is a 4 out of 10. I was going to give it a 3 out of 10 because this is fucking garbage at times. But no, it's below average. There are some things I kind of liked, but other things I didn't like. I mean, it's just like a very mixed, messy movie. That's the best way I could put it. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. And I didn't think it was mediocre. It's below average. It's a 4 out of 10. Do I recommend it? Not really. If you're really curious and you have Netflix, go for it, I guess. But I wouldn't recommend it to really anybody. Maybe if you're a fan of David Ayer. But yeah, this movie is confirmed actually to get a sequel, which I'm actually curious to what the sequel would be, and I will review it as well because I have no fucking clue where they're going with this. So, did you guys see the movie? Let me know down below. I'll try to get to your guys' comments. As always, rate, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you next time on One for Review.